every single year, the Cape Cod Marathon just like more and more becomes my favorite weekend of the entire year. Oh, hello, my friends. Welcome back to RUNNAH. It's Juliana. I'm here. Today is the day after the Cape Cod Marathon weekend. It is Indigenous Peoples Day as I am recording this. And the marathon slash 5K slash relay slash kids run slash second leg of the chowder and the lobster challenges, which the lobster challenge is new this year, happened yesterday. And then the day before we had the half marathon, which was the Saturday. And also the first leg of the chowder and the lobster challenges. So it's been a busy week. We had the expo on Saturday. We had a little bit of the expo on Sunday. We had the expo on Friday. And mentally, yesterday, at the end of the day, I was a big ball of mush, and that's okay. You know, it's fine. But I feel just like so like fulfilled and just like happy and just like, I love it. Because the Cape Cod Marathon is like my favorite. I don't know where episode is going to go. This is meaning to be like a recap of the weekend, but this is probably going to turn into me telling you why I love the Cape Cod Marathon so much and why like this year kind of like put it back to the spot where like, again, like it reconfirmed in that like this is my favorite weekend of the entire year. But before we get into that, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that way you can be part of your favorite local running community every week with us here on RUNNAH. So that way if you're not running the Cape Cod Marathon this weekend, you can partake in some dabble in some Falmouth running community stuff. And you can see if anyone who's watching this ran the marathon or any of the distances during our weekend this year, you know now why I love the Falmouth community and the Falmouth running community, like including anyone who supports the running community, who runs, who participates in any capacity, why I love it so much. Because the Falmouth running community knows how to show up and show the fuck out. They are the top tier, I think personally, you know, like no one is fact checking me, but I think they are running community on the entire globe, if not in the entirety of all the universes out there. You know? You know. This weekend was the 2025 Cape Cod Marathon weekend presented by Shipwrecked. If you were at the starting slash finish line of the marathon weekend races, you probably heard me say that at least once. And it was a great year. It's a great year. It's our first year having Shipwrecked as our title sponsor, which is fantastic. They're a great title sponsor, I think personally. Just because it just brings a more positive vibe into the race. Like Shipwrecked is just a restaurant that's here in town that a lot of people, and if you watched the Cape Cod Marathon 101 episode, you would have seen the little like ad read we did for them. It's a restaurant that has a really nice ocean view with these like floor to ceiling windows that just like open wide up to the beach. And Alex, the owner, is a great stand-up dude. And it's a place in town that like really only puts out good vibes. So to have something that like now is our sponsor that like really in town is like 99.9% like a positive thing that like people genuinely like really like. And going into this weekend too, again, anyone who's watched this podcast before knows that Juliana had a really hard health summer. It was not good. We're just coming off a yeast infection now, and like my body has just been having problems. Things are not like fully resolved, but they're definitely better than they were like a couple of months back. But you know, it is what it is. So I went into this weekend very positively, just like I do all the Cape Cod Marathon weekends. I will say I went running with Ben, and I did like half by myself and half with Ben. And in the run that I did on the trails by myself, I did get personally assaulted by a spider. So that was not cool. He was invading my space. I did murder him. Okay, great, cool. But we had a lot of things happening this weekend. The general setup of the weekend is Expo on Friday, half marathon Saturday, which is also triples as the first leg of the Lobster Challenge now, which is the half marathon on Saturday and the 5K on Sunday. And also the first leg of the Chowder Challenge, which is the half marathon on Saturday and the full marathon on Sunday. So that is the beginning of the day on Saturday. And then we have the expo from like 11-ish to like 3 on Saturday, and then Sunday we have the relay, the marathon, second leg of the Shadow Challenge, which is the full marathon, and then the full marathon. And then we have the 5K, which is also the second leg of the Lobster Challenge, and then we have the kids run. So there's a lot happening on the Sunday when it comes to like events. There's a lot happening just in this weekend in general, and I freaking love it. It's so much fun. I love this race so much. And if you ran this race this year, you now kind of like understand why I love this race so much and why I really love announcing the race. I believe this is my third, 2023, 2024, 2025. Yeah, this is my third year announcing the finish line is it? No. Fourth. My fourth year, sorry. Fourth year of me announcing. 2022 was the first year I announced half of the finish line. But this is my fourth year announcing the finish line. This year we had a much better like groove as to what we were doing, because there is another announcer who brings all of the like tech equipment. Mike Thompson, he's a really great announcer. He is more just on he prefers, I think, to be on the operational side of things. He does bring like all the audio equipment and things like that. I just show up with a voice and a personality and a desire to say things out of my mouth, you know? So I love announcing the race. It's my favorite thing that I do all year because I get to recreationally scream at people and let them know how awesome they are. And I know what just like these little things mean to people because I've had these things happen to me. I have been the person who like at the end, like I'm feeling really proud of myself, or even if I'm feeling like I didn't have a good race, and the person coming across the finish line is just like reaffirming in that I did something cool and I did something big, and someone's like, "It's Juliana, here she comes." I'm like, "Yeah," and then people cheer for you as you're coming into the finish line. That makes a huge difference. Especially if it's like someone's first marathon, or they're coming back from something, or their first 5K, or they're just not having a good day, or they're having a great day and they want someone to just be like, "You did it, you are awesome." Like, I want to be that person. So, because like I come from a family where like my blood born into directly family, nothing's ever good enough for them. Like, I remember, and I think I've talked about this before, when I finished my first marathon, which was the Cape Cod Marathon. Thank you so much. It was on the old course, so a lot more hills than on the current course. But I finished the marathon. I was so proud of myself. Your girl Juliana had played Porta Potty Hopscotch like miles 21 through like 24, but you know, it was fine. It was good. The race itself was challenging, but it lives in my brain forever, and I had a great time. Me and Mike had a nice time. But I remember I crossed the finish line. I was so proud of myself. Like, I was so proud of myself. This is my first marathon. I worked so hard. I cried so many times, put in so much work, all these long runs, all these things. I was terrified, like, that I wasn't going to be able to do it. And I did it. I crossed the finish line, and I crossed it in one piece, give or take, like the bathroom situation. But I crossed, and I was so proud of myself. As I crossed the finish line, I had like the volunteers like swarmed me immediately. They were like heat sheet, water, and also just like making sure I was okay and like, "Good job, nice job." I got some hugs for some random people that I didn't really know who were volunteering, and I was like, "That's so nice." And so like had this like nice like welcoming warm hug, literally and metaphorically, into the finish line. Like, get past that area. My family is waiting there. I've already been like hugged and like in the mental and the physical standpoint. I'm feeling proud of myself. I'm feeling good. I look to my family. They don't care. They don't give a fuck. I get like a half-hearted hug from my mom. "Nice job, Anna." "Oh, yeah. And my sister Maria proceeds to tell me about the pancakes they got at Betsy's Diner. I've been in that position where I feel like nothing I'm doing is good enough, and that like my work doesn't count for anything. And here's the thing. I don't want other people to feel like that. Like, I really, really don't want other people to feel like that. I can't control someone's home situation. I can't control the relationship that they have with other people. I can't control anything in their lives, except for I can control how I am presenting myself and the vibes that I am putting out into the world. And I can make sure that at least I'm trying to help them not have the experience that I have, and trying to make them feel like, and know, like I know from the bottom of my heart, like I am so proud of you guys. Like I am so proud of each and every person who crossed our finish line and did a relay exchange as well too, as part of our race weekend. I am just like, from the bottom of my heart, like genuinely, like authentically proud. And like, I mean it. I mean it like so much. Like I'm so proud of each and every one of you. And like, hopefully if you interacted with me or like saw some of our social media posts, watched the Cape Cod Marathon 101 episode, or just like heard my voice like over the microphone announcing your name, like you know for a fact that I am like genuinely so freaking proud of you. It is hard to get out there and run. It's not easy. It's not easy, but you did it. And I'm so proud of you. Like I cried a couple of times. I usually do, because I just like, I have such an investment in other people's emotions, and I'm just such an empath. But like, I am just so proud of each and every one of you. And I really want you to feel that in your soul, because I don't want other people to feel the way that I felt. I really don't. I really don't want you to feel that way. And again, I can't control like anything else, but I can control like what you hear when you cross the finish line. So that way you know that you just did something really hard, and we're so freaking proud of you. But Cape Cod Marathon weekend it's just my favorite weekend, because I get to do that. And I now like am being termed, I called myself last night on our social media, because you know, like if you have someone who's like DJing, it's called usually like an MC, a master, what is it? Master of ceremonies. But I, between the social media and being on the finish line and kind of being, I think of myself more as an amplifier of the vibes that I am getting inward, because I am so enthusiastic about this race because of the way that I was treated when I volunteered I volunteered the same year that I ran my first marathon. So ran the half marathon and a relay leg as part of the Falmouth Running Club, and then ran the marathon the next year. And the next year I volunteered at the expo, and kind of really got into the nitty gritty a little bit more of like the interworkings and the people behind the marathon. And I just felt so loved and accepted, and it just felt like I had been adopted into a family for the weekend. And this is exactly how I want other people to feel. And this is exactly the way our volunteers make people feel. We have the best, I think, personally, volunteers in the game. The Falmouth community in general, like, loves running. Like, we're a community that like lives and breathes running and walking. It's just like part of our blood. It's part of our bread and butter. This is the way that we show up and show out in a hometown way. The Falmouth Road Race is like the big shaboom. It's like the big kabam. It is big, it is loud, it is also not just Falmouth residents, but it's like everyone, but we want to make sure people feel loved and accepted too, and we all usually volunteer in some capacity for the Falmouth Road Race too. The Cape Cod Marathon weekend is our race. So we get to like really like dial it in, make it a little bit more hometown, really make you feel like you have been adopted into a family for the entire weekend. And this is the vibe that I got the first time I ran it, and I want to give back to people, because it is the vibe of just like, you show up, we got you. Do you need something? You're all set. I was asking for comments from people earlier on our social media and on our Instagram for compliments or like stories about interacting with volunteers, because I want to share this with the volunteers. And one of the stories, the woman who sent me the comment said that the volunteer at one of the aid stations went out of their way at the half marathon at mile 11 to like stop, so step out into the street, like make sure this person was good, hand them the water and be like, it's okay, you got this. You just got a short run now. You can run the last little short bit. You got this. And like took her time to just like make sure that this runner was okay. Do you need anything else? Like just being able to, and I'm just getting shivers because I just love it so much. Just being able to feel like, okay, if I roll through an aid station, these people are like personally invested in my finish. And even yesterday when we had like that nor'easter blowing through, that kind of settled in around like noon. So pretty much if you weren't like running like a fast boy or girl, you encountered a good portion of it. But all of our volunteers were out there just as long, if not longer, than like 99% of the runners. Like they got there at like 7 or 6 a.m. and they didn't leave until the last runners were through. So they are out there on the course, very much so exposed, a lot of them like directly on the beach, exposed to the weather. And these people, everyone who has left me a comment, and I know that this is a fact because this is what I've experienced, even in the years that I've run, like the year I ran the Chowder Challenge is the year we had the 40-mile-an-hour winds and hail on Surf Drive Beach. So that was like the last 2 to 3 miles of my race that day. But the people who were at the aid station were so excited to see us. And they were dancing the whole time. They're getting pummeled by hail. They're standing there. They've been standing there like 6 hours at this point, probably. Probably 5 or 6. And they are standing fully exposed to the hail and the 40-mile-an-hour winds at this aid station, holding these water cups, dancing and smiling and having a great time. And this is just what the Cape Cod Marathon is. It's the community really showing up and showing out and just being happy to be able to celebrate what running is for us here and making everyone feel welcome and supported. And that's what that person had commented as well too, that they went through an aid station and every single aid station they went to, the vibes were high and everyone was having a great time and just so happy to cheer for everyone. And this is the community that I love. This is the community that I love so much. And again, like I don't see myself as someone who's like creating these like feelings and these vibes and these like interactions, I guess. I am the person who's just amplifying them. Anything that the course and the people and the volunteers and anyone who's part of our group is giving to me, I'm trying to just amplify that out and just set a positive tone for everyone. So that way we're gonna have a nice fun time. It's gonna be great. No matter what, we can still have a fun time. You don't get to choose the weather, but you can choose your attitude. So definitely doing that. And you know, I got to do a lot of vibe setting this weekend. I'm very happy with that. I got to announce the starting line of the half marathon. I did actually sing the national anthem this year, both years, because Tasha, our regular person, has moved away. I did pretty much like almost major in vocal studies in college, so like I can sing decently well. You know, I'm okay. I'm not like a superstar. Not really going anywhere with it, but you know, it's convenient. It's easy. I'll do it. So I sang the national anthem, and then both mornings, the gentlemen who were there as part of Mike Thompson's team, either himself or his partner, did kind of like the announcing of people like leaving the starting area, and then the top like 3 guys coming across the starting area and or the top 3 gals. So that was their kind of duty. And then after that, I got to take over. And I was kind of like interspersing myself a little bit too, just trying to make sure that the runners knew that like I was there to make sure that they felt okay. And I hope through like the podcast, through the social media stuff, through any interactions I've had with people, my like main goal with that is to, one, make sure that everyone is informed as to what's going on, especially with the social media. We want people to like be able to digest things in a smaller digestible way, and hopefully a way that's fun for you. And also, I want to just like set the tone for people. Set the tone of like, okay, we're gonna have a nice time, everything's gonna be great. And then also just be like a familiar, welcoming voice. I know I have a very distinctive voice as well too, for anyone who hears it. And I hope that like the combination of those 2 things combined with the last thing, when you stepped up to the starting line area, or like you asked me a question, or I had a bunch of people who were like, the social media girl. And I was like, yeah, I had one, oh my God, I had this one guy who was so freaking cute. This is his first marathon. He's probably a little bit older than me, like maybe the same age, around the same age as me. I'm walking back to the expo and I have my sunglasses on, and like I'm happy to interact with anyone. Like I'm fine. Please approach me. That's the whole thing too. And I was having this conversation with Bob, Kathy's wife. Kathy is Bob's wife. Bob is Kathy's husband. Yeah. About how Bob was like, people are recognizing you. I was like, yeah, I hope they are, because that means I want them to be able to recognize me and know that I am a familiar face and a welcoming face that they can ask a question to, and that even if I can't answer it for them, I'm happy to point them in the right direction. And I want them to just feel like they can ask whatever questions they want, which all of our volunteers are absolutely fabulous at doing that. But I understand that I have more of like a visual face and like voice when it comes to being like recognizable and people have hopefully feeling like I'm approachable. So that's kind of like where I wanted to come at it from, and to be able to just like let you guys know like, hey, this is what's going on. I'm a familiar face, I'm a familiar voice, and that hopefully when you stepped into the starting line and you felt a little bit nervous and then you heard me be like, hello friends, you kind of like at least like a tiny little bit of the like the pressure in your body and just the anxiety that you were feeling like got out of your system. Just because I know what it's like when I am like really, 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 really nervous. And if I hear a familiar voice, like if I am lining up for the 50 miler that I'm attempting in like, it's gonna be interesting. I'm crazy. In like 3 weeks. And Ben comes up to me and is like, hey, Juliana. Be like, hello, Benjamin. Like, it just makes me feel so much better. To just like, even when I know we're taking on like new trails and Ben's like, okay, we're going. And I'm like, okay. It's just nice to hear a familiar voice of someone that you're like used to being around when it comes to like running situations. And hopefully I was that person for at least like one person. And hopefully at least a couple of you guys felt like, hey, it was not like upsetting and a little bit like reassuring to hear her voice maybe. Because I love doing it. And I had a few people come up to me who were like, I watched all your stuff and it was so informative. Like, everything is just like so much fun to watch too. Someone was like, you're funny. I was like, I think I'm funny. But like, again, I do this kind of a little bit narcissistically. Not really, but kind of, because I like look inward and I'm like, what would I want? If someone else, if I was someone else who was catering to me, what would I want? I would want someone who's just like familiar, someone who has like positive, like realistically positive kind of outlooks on things. I'm also like very like earnest. I'm a very earnest human being. It was funny because I was talking to Nicole and Sierra, my friends, who shout out to them for finishing our team. We'll Run for Ice Cream. There we go. They did a great job. And I was talking to them because I want to develop a Falmouth 50, which is a 50-mile course, all on trails, only with quarter miles allowed on the roads or like pavemented areas, and no repeats. And I think we can do it in Falmouth. I think we can do it. I'm very positive about it. And every time I go out running and I find new trails, I'm even more positive about it. But I was telling them how I was thinking about the running that I was going to do for part of that while I was running. And Sarah was like, Juliana, you're insane, but I love just how earnest you are because I know you mean it. And it's not like ironic or anything. Like, you just genuinely mean it. I'm like, yeah, I do. It's hard for me to lie. It's hard for me to lie. I'm just like a genuinely like honest and earnest person. And hopefully that comes across too, because I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm not going to bullshit you. Even the stuff with the weather too, like, again, I don't trust the weather more than 4 hours out. Even me checking the weather report the morning of, it said that the rain was going to roll in at like 10 or 11. It was like 12:30 or 1 when the rain rolled in. And we're like not even a mile from the shoreline where we are at the Mullenhall School. So it definitely was not correct because it was telling us that it was going to do like pockets. And then it said on Saturday it wasn't going to rain at all. Like, so it was going to be like blue skies all day long. And it rained a little bit in the middle there. It wasn't anything like substantial, but definitely it was kind of like, okay, well, that wasn't on the weather. But I'm not going to lie to anyone. I'm not going to tell you unrealistic things. And the thing is, like, I want you to just know that I'm telling you things because I believe that they are true. Am I 100% right 100% of the time? No. But here's the thing, I'm trying. And I really hope that that came across in any of the interactions that you had with me. So besides all of that, highlights from the weekend. Friday, nice and warm. That was great. Got to interact with a few people at the expo. That was fantastic. Love to see it. Saturday morning, got to announce everyone coming across the finish line of the half marathon. I just love being able to tell people that they were able to, like, you're able to do this. This is awesome. Like, you're great. And just being able to like sing the national anthem was really fun. And just being able to just see everyone and get to use the photo bus and get to highlight some of the other things that were happening. Definitely that little interaction with the guy who, I don't think I finished telling that story. Oh, we're going to hit like we're going to jump on the ADHD bus here. So I had a gentleman who was about my age passing me on the street, going back to the expo. He looks at me, he's like, oh, the social media girl. I'm like, yes, it's me. He's like, I'm so excited. All your videos have been so informative and you make me feel so much better. I guess they lived just somewhere in Rhode Island, like along the coastline. He's with his, I'm assuming his brother, because they looked very similar, and his wife and their 2 kids. And so, younger kids. And so I have this, he's like, telling me like, it's my first marathon. I'm so excited, but all the things that you posted made me feel so much better. And like, I'm just feeling so positive about this. And I have one concern though. I was like, okay, cool, shoot. What's your one concern? Let me see if like I can help you troubleshoot it or not. And he's like, is the ocean gonna smell bad? I was like, what? He's like, is there gonna be like that ocean stank? I was like, oh, because I mean, if you live by the coast, you know the ocean stank. So when you pass by it and it kind of like smells like a briny porta potty out of the ocean, and you're like, oh no. And it happens here. Usually it's like after a big storm, but it definitely happens here. And it's funny because I've never been asked that question before. And I was like, you really do live in a coastal town, don't you? He's like, oh yeah, we live like right near the water. I was like, okay, this makes sense. He's like, because most of my runs have been by the water at some point, and there are some days where the ocean like really stinks. I was like, yeah, that happens here too. But usually when the seaweed gets backed up in like the little like entryways into the what the heck, not the sinklets, the little like mini ponds things. So definitely, I was like, there could be some of that, but I don't know about that. And that was just a really cute interaction. I also, because I was getting up early to do my runs, got to test out my headlamp for the Ultra, which was good. The headlamp is great. I'm going to keep it. So that was nice. And I got to kind of like have some alone time and like preview the course both days a little bit before I went out there and announced, which was awesome. Saturday we had like the perfect weather. It was so nice. And I mean, generally my schedule was like get up at 4 a.m., run, get to the starting line by like 7:15, 7:30, because I didn't have to do the announcing beforehand. I was just there at least the absolute latest like 7:50, so I can sing the national anthem and then join in with the announcing and like letting people off onto the course. And then announced till like 11:30, noon. It was actually afternoon. It was noon, like 12:15. Had to go back, pick up my microphones. We did a little interview with Frank Shorter. I will be posting that another time. And then wrapped up the expo, answered a lot of questions, did a lot of social media posting, and then went back to bed, posted some stuff online, and then repeated on Sunday. 4 a.m., run, get to the starting line by 7:30-ish, announce the beginning of the marathon and the 5K, announce the finish of the 5K. My friend Colette came in the first like female / non-binary person of the day for the 5K, which was awesome. I think 3rd overall potentially. And then got to like check out what was going on with the kids' room, which was really, really cute. And then got to announce the people at the finish line coming through. Also, shout out to Beyond the Grind, our coffee person. Our coffee truck / camper that we have come out for the marathon. This is their 2nd year with us. I love them. Those people are so sweet. They made stickers for the marathon this year. I put them all over everything that I own, and I really was so excited for that. But they hooked me up with some coffee and some tea throughout the whole thing, because Sunday was that nor'easter that we were supposed to get, and Saturday was absolutely perfect. It was like, middle of the day was like 70, and it was sunny, and it was gorgeous, and it was just perfect announcing weather for me personally. I like it a little bit warm. So Sunday we knew it was going to be wet and wild, and it definitely ended up being that way. The morning started out okay. When I went out on my run, I was dry. I was fine. I also did have the mental note to myself that I was like, Juliana, this is probably the driest you're going to be all day. I was like, uh-huh. And so I prepared better this year. I have a heated I brought my heated mittens and my heated socks. I was wearing my heated jacket. I didn't turn it on till like halfway through the day, mostly when it started raining, because then it started getting colder. I also wore my fleece-lined, wind-blocking, semi-waterproof running tights that I have from Kraft that I love, which I'll probably do a review of at some point, or just like a general shout-out kind of thing, because I fucking love them. But wore those, wore like my merino wool underlayer, like my sweatshirt, my jacket had my waterproof Carhartt over it. I had like my merino wool socks on. Like I was ready to go. And I had my rain mittens, which are kind of just like coverings for gloves, and they're from Outdoor Research. They're great. I love them. And they'll just keep, I used them this morning. They keep like any water off of you. So if you're wearing like wool gloves or something underneath, they stay completely dry. My favorite combination is gloves plus a hand warmer and then the rain mitten over it. So you have like a nice toasty little sauna for your hands in there. It's a nice time, especially if you're announcing a race. So I was pretty much like, I went from like being overheated in just pants and like that really like flimsy lobster sweater the first day to freezing to death wearing like 7 more layers. So I will say though, I kept better, my warmth was better this year than it was last year. So I improved my warm strategy. Like my strategy to stay warm was a much more solid one. Like I really only started going downhill when the wind like really had picked up and we had like been out there for like 3 or 4 hours in the wind and the rain. The bummer for me is that because it was so rainy and windy, I couldn't really be out in the chute because I needed to look at the computer to read off who was coming across the finish line. Because the way that it works is when you enter the chute at the end of the street, where the gates on the side and the barriers kind of start, there's a timing mat that you cross. That timing mat then sends a signal to the computer that I'm looking at, telling me that you're headed my way. So by the time the signal reaches me, you're a little bit closer to me, and then by the time I go to announce your name, you're coming like right up on the finish line, right where I am, like directly next to the finish line. Because if you were running the race coming across the finish line, I was like directly to the right as you were finishing, like maybe like 20 feet from like the actual like timing mat that was the finish line. So when I said that you're almost there when you reach me, like literally you could roll and you'd be there in like 10 seconds or less. So I'm not lying like some of the signs that are out on the streets sometimes, but it was getting pretty cold. And we were doing final finishers, and honestly, like kudos to anyone who was out there more than like 4 hours, because it got kind of gross around like noon, and we started the race at 8 and it was starting to get grosser and grosser. And like, again, like huge shout out to our volunteers too, who are just standing out there in this exposed to the weather, just handing out cups, creating like just immaculate vibes for everyone out on the course. And it was not the easiest race. It was not the easiest race. The weather did not come in as quickly as we thought it was going to, but once it did, it came in kind of hard. It's still like raining here today. It's kind of petered off a little bit right now, but it's kind of rolling through. I've seen a lot of just like highs and lows of water rain status throughout the entire day already. But it was definitely getting rough. It was definitely getting rough, and I feel really bad for all the runners who were still out there. We did have, I think, like 10 or 15 runners drop out, so that was kind of a bummer. We did do the final finisher zone, which worked out kind of okay, I think. It would have worked out better if we had been able to like actually plug things in and like be out in the chute, and it had been nice weather. More people would have stuck around as well too, but it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. It was like 30 to 40 mile an hour winds with like sideways pelting rain. So it was hard, but we had a lot of people who did a really amazing job, and I'm so proud of each and every person who was out there, not only running, but helping us too. So it was definitely challenging, but not impossible. And we did it. We proved that we can do hard things. I'm counting this towards my ultra marathon training because I was up at 4 a.m. I was going, I went for a run. I was on my feet the entire day, which is not different. I like being on my feet. I usually am on my feet like 99% of the day, either standing or walking on my treadmill. But like on my feet, like in the coals, like having to adapt to that, just having to put on a smiling face, keeping it moving, you know, no matter what happened. And I was like, this counts as ultra marathon training, right? Right. I think it does. This is how you know I'm like really freaking delusional. But it was so rewarding so rewarding to see everyone, to have Nicole and her cycling team there cheering for people, to see all the family members who were there waiting for their loved ones to cross. We had a bunch of like 50 marathons and 50 states people running with us, at least like 3 or 4. And we had some half marathon people as well too who do that. But it definitely is, it's such a rewarding thing to be at the finish line. I love it so much. I absolutely I love it so much. But at the end of it, I was starting to shiver, and like in weird places where I was like, my body is like actively losing body heat. I still had my heated jacket on and it was still working. I just didn't feel like it was because I was just getting too wet. That was the problem. I think I had reached a point where like, I think it was my feet and my legs were getting too wet. Like my upper half, my trunk and my core was like largely okay, but my feet were like soaked and my legs were very, very wet. So even with the semi-waterproof pants and like the merino wool socks, like we weren't getting that far. So that was kind of the tipping point for me. We finished up, I ended up going home, and then spent like, I was like, my brain was like absolute mush, because anyone who was there knows that I was talking like literally the entire day. And anyone who's watching this is probably like, wow, Juliana's voice is doing pretty good for talking that much. Yeah, it is. I can talk a lot. Not sorry about it. But I went home and my brain was just like mush. But I wanted to respond to all the social media messages that people sent us. And I wanted to get up what I had recorded of the finish line, which is a bummer because it dropped out on me and I didn't realize it until afterwards when I went to grab it, and it was like, ah! So both the live stream didn't work and the recording wasn't what I wanted. So we're going to game plan for next year. So stay tuned, my friends. We're going to work on it. It's going to be fine. Okay? Great. I'm trying my best. This is a one-woman show when it comes to the technology here, okay? Which is fine. I'm happy to do it, and I love to do it, and I volunteer to do it, you know? No one pays me extra to do it. But like, I'm self-critical, and I want to do better for the runners next year, for all of you. So we will be working on that. It will be fine. It'll be great. So I came home, did that, uploaded that. 2.5 hours later, pretty much was done responding to social media messages as far as I wanted to get to, and went to lay in my bed and passed out. I was exhausted. I think the problem was that, and this is not really a problem, but like the reason I'm so exhausted, one, it's a long day. I had been up for like 12 hours, like, well, at that point, like 14 hours, and also just like doing things, like actively doing things for like 14 hours, not just like sitting around or doing that. Like I was like on the clock mentally working for 14 hours, waking up, hitting the ground running. And I usually like collapse. The last day of the marathon weekend, I usually go home and I'm just like, and I die. Because I've had my battery running all weekend. So it's the combination of like just being on all weekend and like between just wanting to be physically present for anyone who shows up and has a question, and also like announcing the race, and also doing our social media as well too, like making sure that we are posting things, making sure that we're responding to messages, making sure that we're reposting things, getting it all to correct platforms, doing the YouTube video. Like there's a lot of things that like I'm definitely managing. It's not impossible in any capacity, but it is definitely exhausting when you get to the end of the day. And also just wanting to show every single runner the same amount of like love and enthusiasm and kindness. So it's a lot, but I love doing it. I love doing it, and I can't wait to do it again next year. So I already confirmed it with Jack. I was like, next year? And Jack was like, yeah, sure thing, Juliana. I was like, great, love it. I'll be there. Yeah. And sweatshirt's going to be green next year. That's fun. But I am so excited for what happened this year. I'm so excited to come back again next year in the same capacity. I will still be doing the social media throughout the year. And if you guys have any questions, let me know. But I am just so excited. Kathy and I are going to brainstorm a little bit more. I stand behind the idea of doing the ugly sweater contest because I saw so many unsolicited ugly sweaters, like of lobsters and starfish and of the like. And I was like, Kathy, have you seen all these ugly sweaters? And she was like, yes. I was like, we need to do an ugly sweater contest next year. And Jack was like, I don't know about that. And I was like, we're going to do an ugly sweater contest next year. Because people did it kind of anyway, so we should just have a competition. Like, I don't really even know why that was. I've never seen this happen before. But it could just be because Kathy and I posted a couple of things that had the ugly lobster sweater in it, because she brought it up in the Cape Cod Marathon 101 episode, which a lot of people watched. So I'm assuming that maybe people saw it there and were like, oh, I want an ugly lobster sweater, and then found one that they could wear. Kathy and I also did wear our ugly lobster sweaters on Saturday. So like, we didn't not promise anything, and then like, we didn't promise anything and like not follow through. Like, if you look at the pictures of me announcing the race on Saturday, or you saw me in any capacity, I was sporting my not so great hand-me-down from Kathy, white and red lobster sweater. So I showed up and showed out. And if we have a contest next year, you better bet your butt I'm going to start looking now for an ugly sweater that I can wear. So don't worry, we will follow through. It'll be great. But I just love this weekend. It's so much fun for me. This wasn't really like a what happened. This is more just like a why I love the Cape Cod Marathon kind of post-weekend reflections deal. But hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully at least like one or two people feel a little bit more better about, more great grammar, Juliana, better about their race weekend with us. And hopefully you just had a nice time, because I'm so excited that so many people came to run with us, and so excited that you were there with us if you came, or volunteered with us, or just cheered from your front lawn or your porch. Like I love this running community. I love this running community so much. And I really hope that other people can feel that. And I feel like they can. And I hope I can just like keep conveying that to everyone, that we have the best running community, I think, in the entire planet. But no one gave me the license to judge that. Friends, that is this week's episode. I'm so excited. I'm so fulfilled. I'm so just like full of joy. And don't forget, friends, if you want to like keep coming back here, the easiest way is to like and subscribe. So that way you can become part of your local running community here in Falmouth every single week. It's a nice time. So that way, when you're not running the Cape Cod Marathon and you're kind of lonely in between now and then, you're like, wow, I really wish I could be part of the Falmouth running community, but I can't like physically drive there because I live a little bit further away. You can watch an episode of this podcast and you can be like, wow, there are all my friends. There's Juliana. There she is. Hello, friends. Yeah, that's it. Okay. I'll see you guys at a minimum, hopefully, next year at the Cape Cod Marathon weekend. And hopefully next week on the next episode of RUNNAH. Bye! Also, I did get a penguin, and his name is Gerald. Hi. Thank you for listening to this episode of RUNNAH. This podcast is edited, hosted, and produced by me, Juliana Coughlin. Brought to you in part by the Falmouth Running Club and the Falmouth Community TV station. If you'd like to connect with us, you can find us on Instagram and on TikTok at RUNNAHPod. And you can send us an email at runnahpod@gmail.com. And our original theme music was brought to you by the one and the only wonderful Jeffrey Hutton. And keep up the great work. I'm proud of you.